There are some things that you should look forward to spending money on, like a nice vacation. And then there are 10 things that you should not do with your money. You and I all use money every single day, but most of us never grow up learning how to actually use our money the right way. I can't say this for sure, but I have a hunch that this lack of financial education might be why 1 out of 4 Americans say that they worry about money all the time. In this video, I'm going to be going over 10 things that you should not do with your money, and it all starts with avoiding get-rich-quick schemes. Hey, you want to get rich? Yeah. You want to get rich fast? Yeah. You want to get rich fast without doing any work? What's the secret? It's simple. All you gotta do is buy my proven secret system on how you can get rich in 60 days without doing anything. Online courses are great. I spend a ton of money every single year on online education. But if you're spending money on online courses and online education, make sure what you're buying is going to teach you a specific skill or help you develop a specific skill, because you want to learn how to improve your financial education or how to invest your money in stocks or how to invest your money in real estate. You don't want to go and try to buy a system that's going to make you rich without you doing anything, because the only person that's going to make rich is the person selling the system. It's the same as spending money on lottery tickets and gambling, because now you're hoping that the universe is going to come from above and it is going to give you free money. When you go out and you buy a Powerball ticket hoping you're going to get rich, you have a 1 in 292 million shot at becoming rich through winning the lottery. So are you saying I still got a shot, Jaspreet? You have a better chance of walking outside of your house and getting crushed by a meteor than you do of winning the lottery. You also have a better chance of becoming the next president of the United States than you do of winning the lottery. Okay, in the financial world, they call the lottery an idiot tax because the people that blow all their money on lottery tickets are, well, let's just say they're not very financially educated. Lucky for you, you are not going to be one of those people, because you are watching the minority mindset and you don't think like the majority of people. And this same concept also applies to gambling. Have you ever wondered why so many people from around the world want to come to Las Vegas? It's because they want to see all these buildings and skyscrapers, and they want to see the entertainment capital of the world. But the way that these buildings and skyscrapers are getting all the cash to fund these buildings and skyscrapers is because so many people are losing money in the casinos. Gambling is a losing game. When you go gambling, you are the one paying rent and paying the utilities for all these huge, beautiful buildings. Second, you always gotta have the newest things. Nowadays, the cool thing to do is to finance your phone with 0% APR, because now you're not paying any interest and you can pay off your phone in 24 months. But what ends up happening for the majority of people is 24 months go by, you pay off your phone, and then people feel weird. Ooh, I don't have a monthly payment anymore for my phone. So what do? They go out and they buy themselves the brand new iPhone. Now you're not paying $40 a month for 24 months. You're paying $40 a month every single month for the rest of your life. And the monthly payment is actually probably going to go up because the price of phones are probably going to go up too. When you buy things with 0% APR, you might think you're doing the financially smart thing, because now you're not paying any interest to borrow money and you can keep more cash in your account. That way you can invest it and grow it. But what ends up happening for the majority of people is you don't invest this extra cash. You spend this extra cash because you never felt the pain of money leaving your account. So now you're spending your money on a bunch of nice things that you don't need, and when the monthly payments end, you go and buy a new nice thing because you feel weird not having a monthly payment. The reason 0% APR is so profitable for businesses is because they know that you're not going to actually invest this money like you say you're going to do. They know that you're going to go spend this money on a new sofa or on a new TV or on a new computer. In America, we got the whole concept of affordability wrong. Most people think that they can afford a new phone, but all they can really afford is the monthly payments. Being able to make the monthly payments is not being able to afford the phone. Being able to afford something means being able to buy it in cash without worrying about the price, which brings me to number 3. Buy now, pay later, or as I like to call it, broke now and broke later. I don't know where I heard this saying, but I really liked it and it stuck with me. Broke people love payments, rich people love profits. If you want to be able to afford something, you gotta follow my rule of 5. If you can't buy 5 of them, you can't afford 1 of them. The reason I wanna talk about this buy now and pay later concept is because Well, there's a new movement in this financial technology space trying to help people with this buy now, pay later system. I'm an entrepreneur, so I love when new businesses come up and they find new disruptive ways to kind of shake an industry, or they come up with new innovative ways to do something better. But now some companies are finding a better way to do the layaway system. Layaway is this concept where if you don't have the money to buy something, you can tell the store, oh, I don't have the money to buy this phone, let's say for example. So you just put this phone on the side, and now you're gonna make monthly payments or whatever payments to the store until you can buy the phone. And once you pay the store enough money, now you can buy the phone. Nowadays, this layaway concept is going digital with interest. Apps like Affirm and Afterpay are shaking up this whole layaway system because their whole model and premise is built around the idea of letting you buy something that you cannot afford, and then you can pay for this thing later with interest. It's concerning because retailers think that this is the future. Some retailers have said that they believe that this is gonna be almost like free shipping, where when you buy something online, you'll always have the option to pay it in installments later. This whole idea of buying things that you don't need, that you can't afford, that don't pay you with money that's not yours is one of the biggest reasons why so many Americans are broke. And now through the help of technology, it is only going to become easier and more accessible for you to buy things that you cannot afford. People are already going out and buying new sofas on 5-year or 6-year installment plans, but they only keep their sofa for 3 or 4 years. So now 3 or 4 years go by, you get rid of the sofa, you still got the monthly payments for your old sofa, but now you go out and buy a new sofa, and so now you have 2 sofa payments. One for a sofa that you don't own, and second for a sofa that you just bought. If it doesn't make you any money, it is never okay to finance it. Fourth, let's talk about eating out when you're in credit card debt. Let's do a little bit of math. Let's say you invest $750 a month. So every single month you take $750 and you invest it, and let's assume that you can get a 19% annual return on your money. So you're investing this money every single month, and every year you're getting a 19% return. In 5 years, you are going to have over $100,000. In 10 years, you are going to have over $315,000. And in 16 years, you are going to be a millionaire because you are investing $750 a month and you can get a 19% annual return on your money. Now at this point you might be thinking, but Jaspreet, how am I going to get a 19% consistent return on my money every single year? Well, your credit card company is doing that every single year when you have credit card debt. This is why credit card debt is keeping so many people from becoming wealthy, because you are spending all your money making your credit card company rich while it is keeping you broke. That's why if you have credit card debt, you gotta know exactly how you're spending money. Because let's say you're eating out for lunch. You might buy yourself a nice wrap and a salad and a coffee, add that up plus some tip, and it's going to cost you $25. Now, if you do this 30 times a month, that's going to cost you $750 that you're spending every single month on food that you can make at home for a fraction of the price. Now, we already went over the math, but if you're in credit card debt and you're spending $750 a month on things that you don't have to spend, then, well, you are making somebody else wealthy instead of yourself. Now, you might be thinking something like, oh, well, at least I don't spend all my money on food. Well, if you're in credit card debt, just do the math. If you are wasting $25 a day on something that you don't need to, even if you don't eat out that much, just do the math. If you are wasting $25 a day, that's $750 a month, and we already did the math of what that kind of money would make you if you invested the money at your credit card's rate. Okay, so if you are wasting $25 a day, maybe it's food, maybe it's your Netflix subscription, maybe it's other things that you're blowing money on that you don't need to. This is money that you could be using to pay down your credit card debt. That way, you can use your money to build your own wealth instead of your credit card company's wealth. 5, buying gifts you can't afford. People are always gonna need gifts. People keep graduating from school, people keep getting married, they keep having babies, they keep having birthdays, they keep having anniversaries. If you have a big friend circle, that can add up to a lot of money on gifts very fast. If you are in a financially tight situation, stop blowing your money on gifts, okay? Write them a card, tell them you love them, and tell them that you're gonna get them something once you get your finances in order. Or if you can't get yourself to do that, then talk to your friends about creating a limit on how much you can spend on gifts. That way you're not spending more than $20 to buy a gift for your friends. Or you can create a gift that's not gonna cost you any money. Like, you could give me the gift of smashing that thumbs up button below. 6th, don't blow your money. Literally, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, weed. All these things hurt your body, they hurt your mind, and they hurt your wallet. What are you saying, Jaspreet? Am I not supposed to have any fun? Look, I know it's easy for me to say this because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs. But just look at this practically, okay? If you are in a financial crunch, all these things are costing you money and they're not giving you any financial return. It's a triple punch to you, so you gotta figure out how important it really is. Kind of like number 7, driving a car that you can't afford. The average payment for a new car in America right now is more than $500 a month. Now, this is also what I call a triple threat because your car is a depreciating liability. It doesn't make you money. You have to pay interest to drive this depreciating liability, and you have to pay to maintain your car. So you're paying to maintain a car that doesn't make you any money, and you're paying interest to do that. Now look, I get it. You want to drive a nice car and you want to look rich, but you got to ask yourself, would you rather look rich or be rich? If your answer is look rich, then yeah, by all means, keep paying for your fancy car because you look rich when you do that. If your goal is to be rich, well, then you gotta be rich before you can look rich. If you wanna be rich, you gotta put some money towards your investments before you're paying money to drive something that's not making you any money. 8, do not invest in something that you do not understand. Bitcoin in 2017. Real estate before 2008, and dot-com companies before the year 2000. Do you want to know what all 3 of these things had in common? People were investing their life savings into these things, thinking that they were going to get rich overnight because they thought that these assets could never come down, and in all 3 of these situations, people lost everything. Investing is important, and it is one of the fundamental keys to becoming successful. I talk about it all the time on our YouTube channel. But you need to be investing in things that you understand, not just in things that people are really excited about. Before you make your next investment, ask yourself, why are you investing? Is this thing gonna have potential in the future? And how am I going to make money? 9, don't shop because you're upset. There is a concept called retail therapy where when you don't feel good, you can just go over to the mall, blow a bunch of money, and now you're gonna feel a whole lot better because you bought a lot of nice things. Mental health is a real issue and it's a real problem, okay? I'm not trying to discredit that, but let's look at this practically. If you are upset at somebody, or if you're upset at something, and you go and take out your anger and frustration by blowing a whole bunch of money at the mall, you are not fixing the root cause of the problem, and you're creating a new problem. Debt. Find a new therapy when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're sad. Don't take it out in the mall by swiping your credit card. Take it out by going on a walk, maybe listen to an audiobook. And number 10, you never pay yourself. The way money works for most people is they make money, and then they spend money, and then they wonder where all their money went. If you really want to build your financial freedom and your wealth, you have to pay yourself first. Now, when I say pay yourself first, I don't mean take out some of your cash from your bank account and go to the mall. I mean, take out some cash, put it into your savings account. That way you can build a savings cushion, and take out some other cash and put it into an investment account. That way your money is growing and building your wealth, and now you only live off of what's left. Now what you're doing is you're building a savings cushion. That way you don't have to worry about a financial emergency happening and going into debt when your car breaks down. And with your investments, you are creating more income because your money's working to build you wealth. This is not something that happens overnight, but now you are laying the stepping stones to build this wealth. That way you can live more financially free in the future. Being cheap is a special talent that some people just happen to be born with. The question though is, can you become rich by being cheap? My family is from a state in India called Punjab, and when your family is from India, it is in your blood to know how to be cheap. Most people are scared to use the word cheap, but I'm an expert at it. I grew up being cheap. You're nothing but a cheap brown person who makes money telling people how to manage their money on YouTube. Thank you. Now look, I get it. There's a negative connotation around the whole idea of being cheap because many people associate being cheap with not being willing to pay for something that you got value for. That's not what I mean when I say cheap, okay? That's being dumb. I'm an entrepreneur. I cannot stand doing business with those kind of cheap people who do not want to pay for something that they got value for, or who want to buy something just to refund it. That's dumb. That's not cheap. When I say cheap, I mean you got $50 in your pocket, and instead of going out and spending this money on something that you don't need, you put it back in your pocket because now you want to invest this money or use it for yourself to build your wealth. Growing up, I saw firsthand that there's a lot of people in America who think they need to spend money on things that they don't actually have to spend their money on. When I was younger, one of our car's side mirrors broke and it fell off, and we took it to the car shop, and the car shop said they were going to charge $250 to put the side mirror back on the car. Now, $250 to fix a mirror is kind of a lot of money. So what did we do? We took some duct tape and we taped the side mirror back on the car. Then we found a cheap $7 mirror and we glued it on top of the broken mirror. Now you had a working side mirror for $7 instead of $250. When I was in grade school, me and all of my friends took our lunch to school in brown paper bags. But unlike all of my friends, after I was done eating, I didn't throw my brown paper bag away. I packed it up nicely and I took it home. That way I could reuse my brown paper bag the next day. There's no doubt that there's value in being cheap because you get to keep more money in your pocket. The real question though is, are you going to be able to become rich by being cheap? I'm going to diagram that answer out for you, but before I do that, I need you to stop being cheap with that thumbs up button below, because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you do not hit that thumbs up button, then YouTube is much less likely to show you and other people our financial news and education videos. Let me start by defining what cheap means exactly financially. So let's assume for the purposes of this video that cheap means that you are saving 25% of your income. So for every dollar you earn, you are taking 25 cents a quarter and you're putting it aside because you are being cheap and you are going to save some of your income. If you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might just call this being financially smart because you are living below your means. But for the majority of Americans, this is being cheap because, well, the majority of Americans make $1 and then they spend $1.20 with the help of credit cards, lines of credit, and other financing options. By the way, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should do that. So you are cheap and you save 25% of your income every time you make $1. And let's assume that you get a job when you are 21 years old. And when you're 21, you get a job that's paying, let's just say, $35,000 a year. And I am going to assume now that your job, your boss is going to automatically give you a 3% raise every single year to help you match and maybe even beat inflation. So that means when you're 22, you're going to make just over $36,000 and on and on and on. And so now you're going to save 25% of your income every single year because you are cheap. I had to get my calculator for this so I don't do it wrong. So if you save 25% of $35,000, and I'm going to assume that these numbers are after tax to keep it simple, that means when you're 21, you are going to save $8,750. Now, if you continue to do this and you continue to get a 3% raise every single year from the age of 21 until, let's say, 66 or 45 years, by the time you're 66, you're going to be making $132,000 a year. And every single year, you are going to save 25% of your income. After you're 66 and you are retired, you are going to have a bank account with $844,000 in it because you are cheap. $844,000 might make being cheap look a whole lot more attractive, but it doesn't show you the whole picture because remember, this is $844,000 you will have in 45 years in the future. It's not $844,000 you will have today in your pocket, and $1 today doesn't have the same value as $1 tomorrow. I mean, if you think about it, $100 in 1970 had way more buying power than it did today because of something called inflation. That's the same thing here. $1 today is not going to have as much power as $1 will in 45 years because of inflation. Inflation is when the value of your dollars go down and the price of living, the price of things, the price of your shopping, the price of your home, the price of everything keeps going up. That's what inflation is. So to really understand how much this $844,000 will be worth in 45 years, you have to look at something called the present value. That's a financial term. And what that essentially means is how much this future money, this $844,000 in 45 years, will be worth today. So if we look at the future value of this $844,000, it's actually only worth something like $346,000 today, assuming that inflation is 2% a year. So because you are cheap, you save a quarter of every dollar you earn from the age of 21 until the age of 66. And every year you got a 3% raise, and no matter how much money you made, you continue to save 25% of your income. When you did that, you saved $844,000 over the course of your working career, which amounts to $346,000 today. Now, $346,000 is a lot of money, and it's enough to make you look rich, but it's not enough to make you wealthy. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I just cleaned this off, and let's assume that right now you have $346,000 in your bank account. That's the future value of all the money you're gonna save for being cheap. Now, there's two things that you can do with this money. So let's make it option 1 and option 2. So option 1. Option 1 is you got $346,000 in your bank account, and you go out and you buy yourself a nice home because you want to look rich. You buy yourself a nice car because you gotta drive a nice car, and you go on a couple, I don't know, what is that, a plane? You go, all right, let's assume that's a plane. You go on a couple nice vacations. So now you look rich, but then in 18 months or 24 months, you are going to be, B-R-O-K-E, broke. Option 2 is you do something with this money. So option 2 is now we are going to invest this money. When you invest your money, now you're putting your money to work. That way your money can go out and attract you money without you physically having to go to work to get paid. So now you got $350,000 and you want to put this money to work. That way you can make some money, and you want to make some passive income because you want to be able to live off of this money. So either you're going to put this money into dividend paying stocks, so stocks that pay you cash dividends, cash payments every year for just owning the right stocks, or you're gonna go out and you're gonna buy some real estate, because if you own some real estate, well, tenants are gonna have to pay you to live there. If you invest your money, let's assume that you can get a good 7% return on your money every single year. So for every dollar you invest, you're gonna make 7 cents in passive income. If you do that with $346,000, that means you are going to make $24,000 a year. Now, $24,000 a year in passive income is pretty good, but it's not enough to replace your current income, because if you remember, when you were 21, you were making $35,000 a year. So yeah, you're making $24,000 a year in passive income from your investment, but you're not wealthy enough to use this money to stop working and just live off of your investments. So if you go with option 1 and you spent all this money that you worked so hard saving because you were cheap, and now you go and become anti-cheap and you go and blow all your money on nice things, you will end up broke and you have nothing to show for it, minus some nice things, because now you have no money to live off of because you spent all your money that you saved. Option 2 is you invest this money, but it's not enough for you to live off of because, well, you're not making enough money to replace your income from your job. Now you could say, well, you could be even cheaper, but you really don't want to live small for your whole life because, you also want to be able to enjoy your life. This is where Indian people are wrong about money, because a lot of Indian people look at financial freedom as just saving a lot of money by being cheap. But the numbers show you that being cheap isn't enough. Even if you took that whole $844,000 that I showed you, if you save 25% of your income every single year, if you took that whole $844,000 and you invested it and you got that same 7% return, you'd make something like $59,000 a year. But remember, when you were 65, 66, you were making over $130,000 a year. So you're still not making enough to replace the income that you had. So now you're 65, 66 years old and you have a big bank account because you were cheap your whole life and you feel good. But now you have to ask yourself, how do you want to live the rest of your life? Do you want to start drawing cash out of your savings account? That way you can live large, but then you're going to be broke really soon. Or do you want to invest this money, but then you have to continue being cheap and even cheaper than before because you're not making enough money to replace the income that you just had from your job? This is why being cheap alone is not the solution to your financial problems. Being cheap is a good first step. You need to know how to live below your means, but you also need to know how to expand your means. That way you can think bigger and earn more money. That way you can live the life you want without just being cheap your whole life. Well, let me actually explain what I mean with the diagram. So here, let's say you make $35,000 and you live off of 75% of what you make. If you do that, that means this is 75%. You are living off of just about $26,000 and you are saving $9,000. So this is 25% of the pie. Now, if you make $350,000 a year because you work on expanding your means, you work to make more money, you work to grow your wealth, now, if you continue to live off of just 75% of your income because you're still cheap and you're living below your means, now you're not living off of $26,000 a year, you are living off of $260,000 a year, and you're also saving 25% of your income. And when I say saving here, I'm going to assume that we mean saving and investing your money. So now you're saving 25% of your income, which is not $9,000. Now it is $90,000. It's a lot easier to live off of $260,000 than it is to live off of $26,000. But guess what? You're still being cheap. I mean, actually, if you lived off of just $200,000, you're being even cheaper here than you are here because now you're living below 75% of your income. So when you focus on expanding your means, it becomes even easier to be cheap because now you have a bigger pot that you can play with. Not to mention the fact that when you're here, you can drive a nicer car, you can own a nicer home, you can wear nicer clothes, you can go on better vacations while still being cheap than you can here, even though you're still the same level of cheap. The issue is too many people put all of their emphasis right here. How can you make this part of the pie bigger? Instead of saving 25%, how can you save 30% or 35%? Instead of trying to figure out how can you actually grow the pie? Because if you can grow the pie, you can live off of the same size chunk but live a much bigger life. The whole point of being cheap and living below your means should not just be to save all of your cash. I mean, you do need to save some cash so you protect yourself from emergencies, but the real reason why you need to be living below your means is so you can grow the pie bigger. This could mean investing your money more aggressively. That way you can get more passive income. That way you can build your wealth. This could mean investing your money into other businesses that you know is a little bit riskier, but you can get a better return. That way you can make more money. Or this could mean investing your money in yourself. Maybe it's a side hustle. Maybe it's your own business. That way you can create more income. That way you can have a bigger pie. That way now when you're cheap, we're talking much bigger numbers so you don't actually feel like you're being cheap. It's all a balance and you need to understand why you're living below your means. It is very important to live below your means, but you need to know why, okay? You are living below your means, that way you have savings to protect you, and so you can use your cash to expand your means, because now the goal isn't just to live smaller, the goal is to live bigger by living smaller, to use your money strategically, that way you can live bigger and expand your means. See, everybody wants to become rich, but only a fraction of those people who want to become rich ever will achieve any sort of financial freedom. The question is, why? Is it because the system is rigged against you? Is it because of your work ethic? Or is it because of something else? Let me start with the system. Yes, it is rigged against you. It is profitable to keep you poor.